All right, guys. Today on this episode of the podcast, we have got the greatest playmat artist of all time, Wholehearted.
Wee!
Hello. I don't know if I'm the greatest, but I do my best.
So, I guess we can start with a short intro, like your you getting into the Digimon TCG.
Yeah, I guess I got into it. The game was pretty new when I started playing. I think BT4 had just come out. I didn't know the game had released yet. I knew it was supposed to be coming out, but I just lost track of it. And it was really hard to find when I first started trying to get the cards. But I did end up getting like a few starter decks. It was the green starter deck, and just like smashing two of those together, and then getting online and finding a shop that was fairly close to me. It was like 40 minutes away, and just going. And luckily, the locals fired that week because I didn't realize that that was a thing to even be concerned about. And started playing there, and yeah, just had a whole lot of fun. And I played it pretty much ever since, up until like semi recently. I took a little hiatus, but I'm coming back to it now, having a lot of fun.
Awesome. So, before the Digimon TCG, did you play any other TCGs?
Yes. I guess the first card game that I ever got into was Pokemon, but that was like when I was a kid. So it was like when the card game was first introduced. I still have all my old cards from when I was a kid. I don't know if anyone else ever had one, but it looked like a big red tackle box. It was like a card box. That's the best I can explain it. It's like a tackle box, but I still have all of my cards there. I knew how to play, but not many of my friends did, so I didn't get to actually play it a whole lot. It was more just like collecting and trading with kids from school. Then I got into like the old Digimon card game, but I never learned how to play it. Like friends and I would play it, but we'd have to like have the rule book there because it was kind of a complicated game. After that, there was Yu-Gi-Oh. I played that up until high school, and in high school I got into Magic the Gathering like pretty hard. So I would go to like Friday Night Magic and play in tournaments for that for quite a while, up until I was like maybe 22. Kind of gave the game up. Didn't really play any more card games up until Digimon came out, and I've always been a huge Digimon fan, so I was like, let's give it a shot. So from the time I stopped playing Magic till I found Digimon, was probably like 8 years that I didn't really play any card games.
Dang, that's pretty good though. I feel like that was a lot of people our age.
Yeah, that was me.
Usually stopped for a hot minute.
Well,
Yeah,
I quit
yeah. For me, I
Yu-Gi-Oh.
just got into. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I quit Yu-Gi-Oh in like 2013, and then didn't pick anything up until like 2019 again.
Yeah, when I stopped playing Magic, it was like I don't know. I got like really into music and like trying to like be in a band. So card games are expensive, of course, and I was just like a younger kid, so I couldn't really afford to do both. So like I
Yeah,
sold my cards to get like a guitar,
I sold my
and then
cards to
since
get
then
Taco
I've
Bell one
missed
time.
them.
So at least yours was for a guitar. Mine was like,
Yeah.
man, I really want Taco Bell.
When I worked at GameStop, there would be people who would like trade in their like their younger brother's games to get Taco Bell money. So
Glad I'm not alone.
yeah, but then like their mom would come in and be like, did a boy that looked like this come in and trade in this game? And it'd be like, yes, and be like that wasn't his. He wasn't allowed to do that, and it was always a big mess.
I'm sure it was a nightmare.
That sounds
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah, the kids that did that ended up getting like blacklisted. Like you can't trade anything in here. Like your mom's gonna come in again. We can't do this again.
We can't do this. We're not doing this song and dance anymore.
Yeah, yeah, no more.
Well, dang, you're pretty talented if you've not, I mean, I didn't know you was in a band till, just now. So, I mean, you're just a very artsy, talented person, it seems.
Thank you. I don't know. I like to create things, so a lot of different avenues of that, I guess.
Yeah, that's where I hang out. My problem is I bounce around too much and don't stick with anything.
That's really easy to do. Yeah, I'm in a lot of ways like I want to do a lot of other things, but I try to like make myself stick to something, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
So I do have I think a pretty good question. So what is your background in art? Like, did you take any classes, or are you just naturally born with the ability to draw? Like, because I know some people, train, and other people's are just like, no, I'm just good. Just drawing's my thing.
Um, Maybe like a little bit of both. I think a lot of it comes from like when I would draw things as a kid, it would maybe be slightly above average, but still it was a kid's drawing. But I think a lot of it came from like my family being like, "That's so good, like so, draw something else, like keep going," and like getting me like art supplies and like being really supportive. And so like I think before I was old enough to know I was bad at it, I was already being set up to become good at it, if that makes sense. Just like a really supportive mom and dad, and went from there. And then I didn't really take any kind of art classes other than just like stuff you take throughout school. And then I guess after graduating high school and being in college, I started doing art for bands, like local level bands. And that's sort of like kind of what got me into like influenced my art style a lot, because I started drawing digitally then, because that was the easiest way to create something to put it on a t-shirt for a band or something like that. And then it also influenced my style because whenever you do something for screen printing, you can't have gradients in it. And so up until like just recently, like the last couple of years, I've avoided using a lot of gradients in my artwork because for so long I had it in my head I wasn't allowed to use those. So yeah, I did stuff for bands. Then when I was in a band, did even more stuff for bands, because touring and things, you get to meet other bands and they need, stuff for their band. So got to work for other people that way, and then opened a screen printing shop. So printed the shirts for the bands, and yeah, just through music really, I guess, is where a lot of my art style and like learning came from. Like a lot of it was doing things wrong until I figured out how to do it right.
Listen, I love it. Like everything you post is just top tier.
Well, thank you.
And I'm really glad, because that explains so much. Because growing up, uh, in high school, I feel like close to the same era, everyone had that either metal or punk rock band. And looking at your artwork and then all your stickers, I'm like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, this would go on a t-shirt, or this would be on my notebook, or somewhere. So that's kind of
Yeah.
cool that.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I guess like when I first started trying to do stuff like and figured out what I was doing, I tried to emulate Dan Mumford. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his artwork. But I try to emulate his style a lot because he does a good job of, like how I said before, you can't use gradients in screen printing, but he would do a really good job of using different layers of the same color that would fade in and out of each other to make the illusion of a gradient. Um, so like I would love his stuff and do it. Like some things you're probably familiar with. The first like the Plot in You album, he did that artwork. Homesick, A Day to Remember, he did that album artwork.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah,
That is the exact vibe I've always got from your stuff, and I love it.
yeah, so like that's kind of what I wanted to do, and I at one point I even like reached out to him and talked to him. And was like, "Hey, I really like what you're doing," and showed him like what I was doing, and just like tried to like ask him like, "How do I make my style like more of my style?" Because again, I was basically just imitating him, and he was like super nice because I was really nervous about doing it because I'm like, this guy's just gonna be like, "Stop it, stop copying me." But he was super nice. He didn't, I don't know, he just kind of told me like to keep going, and as I go, I'll find more of, what is my style. And he was right. I still have a lot of that in what I do, but there for a while, I'd stopped using color, and that's where like a lot of the hatching lines that are in my artwork come from. And because I didn't have shading, because it was just black and white, and a lot of the hatching stuff actually comes from like old Digimon artwork, like the old cards. If you notice, all of those have like the lines for the shading, and
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess that's just like a part of my brain has always held on to that. That's how I think of doing shading. But I'm certain that's where it came from. Just those old cards that I carried around in a fanny pack as a kid.
Listen, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, and looking up, because I didn't know hardly any of his artwork, but now that I Google searched him, I'm like, this is
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's
and I
amazing.
love the style. I love it. Like, I've
Yeah,
actually seen some of his
nowadays.
comic book covers, and I didn't even know it was him.
Yeah, yeah. Nowadays he does a lot of stuff for like movie covers and like special editions of movies. Like one of the ones that I really liked was The Thing. Like he did like a special cover for it, and I don't know. I've just always really liked his style. Like it's really, again, there's very little gradient because he also does all of his art for screen print. So like whenever I realized that that's how I was going to have to do art. I really leaned into that because he was doing what I needed to do and doing it in a way that I really liked how it looked. So like through copying his technique, it made me like learn how to do it in a way that I found attractive, and then from there I can build off of that, I guess.
Well, you done a heck of, you're not done. You're doing a heck of a job. I love, I don't know, it's just always every piece you've put out so far, even from your first, just the Digivice playmat and the Sumimon playmat. That was the first
Hmm.
time, and I didn't even know who you were. And I was playing Diaboromon or tinkering with Diaboromon. I was like, oh, I got to have a cool playmat to go with my Diaboromon deck. And I found that on Etsy and was like, I have to have this. I have
I
to.
appreciate it. Yeah, those were the first two mats I did. The Digivice I just did for myself. I didn't plan on selling them or anything. I just made myself a playmat, and I already had the artwork. Like I just drawn a Digivice already. So I was like, I'll just make it the right size and slap it on a playmat. And then it was one of the guys here at my locals that he loves Diaboromon. He basically only plays like the villain archetype, whatever the villain is of whatever set. That's the deck he tends to lean toward. But Diaboromon's always been one of his favorites. But he had mentioned like if I could do a Diaboromon mat, that would be so cool. And I started trying to think of things that would be kind of cool. And it's one of the old eggs of Sumamon where it's like walking out of the monitor. And I was like, I want to draw
Yes.
that. So, and then I added lots of weird little Easter eggs into the
Yes.
playmat. Like
Yes,
there's
you
one of the
did.
old
Yeah,
cards. Yeah.
I hadn't looked at it in depth, but I see like all the Easter eggs in it.
Yeah, there's a
Love it.
bunch of manga over to the side, and
The
the Digivice
Trigun.
has,
Love
yeah,
it.
the Digivice has like a little, I can't remember Sumamon's baby form, but it has like the little 8-bit version of it on it. And then,
Oh, good.
if you look on the media player, Red Hot Chili Peppers is playing on the computer, just like random
Awesome.
little
I
things.
never noticed that. I like
Yeah,
that is
I just did a lot of random
amazing.
stuff.
I love it.
So do you add in little Easter eggs like that on all your playmats or just certain
Not all
ones?
of them. Yeah, that one for sure. If there's a scene I usually do, which I haven't done any like scenes that I can think of recently. I'm working on one coming up that I want to add some stuff, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do. It's going to be like a Monzemon Numamon playmat, but I don't know what to
Very
do for it
cool.
quite yet. Which I guess there are a few things. It's not really Easter eggs, but like references to the old game. Like I don't know if you ever played Digimon World, but there's like the toy room, which is a giant Tyrannomon building.
Oh,
Um,
brother. We did.
so, yeah, so I have that. I have a Monzemon walking out of it because that's the room where you evolve your Numamon into a Monzemon. Um, but yeah, I can't think of anything else that has like references like the Sumamon one because that one it was just a desk. Also, the desk is Ken's desk from O2.
I mean, that one's chocked full of like just
Yeah,
goodies.
yeah, that's his posters and stuff back behind the monitor.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad I bought that mat now. It makes it even that much more amazing.
Yeah, I think that's my best selling mat is the Sumamon.
Yeah, it's
And
awesome.
another weird question. So you're mainly doing Digimon, but you do
Mhm.
have, I'm assuming someone at your locals likes One Piece.
Not at my
Or
locals, but there's a fellow who who does he came to me about doing a smoker mat. So
Yeah, Smoker was.
that's where Smoker came from.
Oh, he was good, and I'm assuming that's when that playmat needed to be happening. When
Yeah,
Smoker
and see
first
like
came out.
yeah, and see like I don't like I would like to do and I still plan to do more One Piece mats because the game's really popular. I like doing the artwork. It's like kind of a bit of a break from like Digimon. It's a very different style. But like the big thing that prevents me is like one, I don't know enough about the card game meta and like what to draw based on that, and two, I don't know enough about the series. Like I used to read it as a kid in Weekly Shonen Jump. I would go to I don't know if you guys know what Food City is. Like it's a grocery store from
Yes,
the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You guys are in Tennessee, right?
yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's only in Kentucky, Virginia, and Tennessee. Um, But yeah, I would go to Food City with my dad every Sunday, and he would get me the new Weekly Shonen Jump. So I would read it in that, but I don't remember it because I was a small child, basically. So I don't really know a lot about the show to feel confident in like making the mats. So like with the Smoker one, I was like instructed very well on like who like I did a lot of research too, like watch videos on who is Smoker, what has Smoker done, what are his abilities, that kind of thing. So but I do want to do I have sketches actually for a Luffy mat and a Zoro mat because I do know who they are.
Oh, I don't have a One Piece playmat, so if you ever put out that Luffy one, I'm probably going to snag it because I've played Luffy. The 2 decks I have are Luffy based One Piece decks. I love Luffy, of course. Me,
For
my heart
sure.
for protagonists.
Right, yeah, I bought some of the starter decks like when the game first came out, and I kind of played a little bit, not really, just like figuring out the game. And then it got to where the starter decks were like impossible to find, and everyone needed, the Luffy starter. So
Hmm.
there's a guy here at my locals. I didn't actually know him. He was like a friend. Like there's another friend from locals that would play Digimon and One Piece, and his friend that just played One Piece was looking for them. And at the time, I think they were like $60 a piece or something. So I let him have both of them for like $30. So I was like, here, like I don't use these. Like, please make good use of them. So
And he probably
yeah, because they had just
tormented
been
the
sitting on the
local
shelf.
scene with those 2 decks. You helped the cause, the degenerate cause. We appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
So in the Digimon TCG, what kind of play style do you usually stick to? Do you have a certain play style or color that you lean towards?
Yeah, I guess it's changed over time. Like I said before, I started with those two green decks that I smashed together. So at first, green was the only color I played because it was the only thing I had like enough cards that worked together well enough to play. From there, I played Lord Nightmon and really got to like yellow a whole lot. After that, I went to Security Control and Rookie Rush, which were at the time the two most degenerate decks you could play. But that's fine, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So I played those two a lot, and from there, BL Star was the main deck that I played. Um, See, after that, I've played Mastamon and enjoyed it a lot. At this point, purple and yellow, that's my favorite. If I can mix those two colors. Yeah, I guess purple and yellow. I like the trash mechanics and the recovery. I'm actually trying to build like Ophani Loop as like a modern meta deck, but I don't know if it'll work because I know like no one plays that deck anymore. But that was the deck I was playing when I went on my hiatus, and I was like, oh, it's gone now.
Well, these next couple sets, I think, will be the time because I had played Mastamon a little bit at locals, and now since we got the new yellow vaccine support, I have
Hmm.
been just loving the deck again. It made it very, very relevant again. And it's just going to get better from here. So now's a good time. If you're a yellow purple player, a purple player, a yellow player, the next couple sets is going to be your time to enjoy it.
Yeah, I was noticing like EX6 is going to be like mostly just purple or something because it's like got all the demon lords, right?
Yes. Well, it's got a lot of stuff. It's got the demon lords. It's got angels and demons basically. So
Gotcha.
good time. Good time. See, it's just going to keep getting better.
Yeah, for sure.
So, in comparison to when you were playing Magic, was that the same play style that you stuck with? Was the recovery and black and white kind of decks?
So in Magic, I liked blue, which is counter spells. So I guess so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like control decks. So I would, back then just play control. One of my favorite decks back then, it was like a Magnivore deck. So like the way it worked is you basically countered every spell your opponent played and destroyed every land that they played. And then you play a creature with haste who has like his attack power and is equal to the number of sorcery cards in your graveyard. So you basically just don't let them play until you have him, and he has haste, which is Digimon's equivalent to rush, and then you just punch him in the face, and he's 2 hits and they're dead. Nobody liked playing against me, I don't think.
Land destruction. I was about to say people come after you for that land destruction. Like
Yeah, because I would
that's
either
like
destroy
painter
their
hate.
lands or Eye of Nowhere, which that one was like I think 2 blue, and it bounced to one of your opponent's lands to their hand. So like it didn't destroy it, but it still set them a turn behind.
Phew. Lord have mercy. I mean, on your end, it's very fun, but for your opponent, it's pure misery.
Yeah,
It's just like set control
it
for you,
was.
but it's fun for me.
Yeah, same idea. Sadly.
So, you said you went to locals recently, or were going?
Yeah, this past Friday was my first time going back. Our locals actually kind of died. So like so many people just stopped going. I think it was just like there was kind of like a sour group. I feel that made things uncomfortable for some people. But I think those people have moved on, and so like they're kind of trying to rebuild locals. But since nobody's really been playing, no one's bought any cards, and also because no one had been showing up, the store like kind of dropped Digimon entirely. So like they're not an official Bandai store for Digimon. They are still for One Piece, but they signed back up, and I think in March is when they will be like an official store to do events again. But because of that, they're allowing us to use proxies because it's not really official locals. It's just them trying to help get people back into the game. So yeah, there was maybe 12 or so people Friday, which I thought was pretty good considering the last time I had gone, there were maybe I don't know, there was almost no one there. Like the guy behind the counter played, so we would have enough to fire. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that's 12 is, I think, for the current state of Digimon, it's so weird because I think 12 is a great turnout. Of course, if you're comparing yourself to Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or even Magic, it's
hmm
pretty small. But for Digimon,
yeah,
I feel like your story hit almost everyone can relate to that, I think, right now.
yeah. Another thing that hurt us too is when the One Piece TCG came out. Um, for whatever reason, they scheduled them to be. They didn't. So like they didn't start at the same time, but Digimon and One Piece overlapped. Like Digimon started at 7, I think, and One Piece was 7:30. So like if someone wanted to play One Piece, they couldn't play Digimon, and a lot of the player base overlapped, and so they would go to play the newer game versus Digimon, and it just hurt everything a lot there as well.
Yeah, that's what happened at Corbin too. They were like an hour apart. They started an hour apart. So
Yeah, it just made it to where like the games were competing for players, but it was really cool going face and then some people that I'd never seen before, which was also really cool to see that new people are getting into the game.
That's kind of what happened to our locals is it was just 3 or 4 of us, and then One Piece took a lot of players and Pokemon did. Because, there's just this distaste with the game, around BT8, BT9. So
hmm
a lot of people left, around that anywhere from BT8 to BT10. we had a little falling out. So I'm glad it's growing again. I wish locals would grow more. Uh, you know, we have online regionals maxing out within an hour. So,
Hmm.
I mean, the player base is still out there. It's just locally, I know a lot of people struggle with getting enough people to show up locally.
Yeah, that's like I live in Bristol, Tennessee, and the locals I go to is in Kingsport, Tennessee. There's another shop that's in Johnson City. So like
Kingsport,
so like these three places are like 30 or 40 minutes like in a triangle basically.
the Tri Cities,
So
baby.
yeah, so
I
like
used to live in Johnson City, so I went to college at
perfect.
UTSU. So
Yeah, yeah, then you totally know the area. So like
yeah,
Mulligan's is there like on Main Street in Johnson City, and
hmm
that's where I started playing at. I would go there and play when I first got into the game. But then another shop, Cardboard Shuffle, opened in Kingsport, and I would go play both. Like Shuffle would have locals on Wednesday, and Mulligan's would have it on Saturdays. And neither one had like a very huge group, but it was decent enough. And then a lot of the people that would go, or not a lot of people, some of the people who would go to Mulligan's started just going to Shuffle because they like their prizing better. I think they just do it a little bit differently. And then rather than going to both, they would just go to one because again, it is a bit of a drive to go to each one. And it ended up getting to where um, Mulligan's didn't have enough people to fire, and the leftover people who were at Mulligan's weren't willing to drive all the way to Shuffle. So like there are players that are in the area that just don't really have enough players in their like immediate area to be able to play because I've gone to Mulligan's a few times. Like they have a Discord channel and like I'll organize with some guys there, then we'll go and play. And like when we do that, we have enough people that we could fire locals, but it's just not consistent enough, I don't think. So like it's so close to having the community get a little bit bigger. I feel like it's definitely doable. Just trying to figure out a way to make it happen.
it's funny you mentioned that because I think what Digimon struggles with is the player base age range. Like Pokemon, I know this, especially with me having younger kids, especially my daughter. She's 8, so she's at a good Pokemon starting age.
Hmm.
So it's a lot easier for me to be like, hey, me and Josie are going to go to Man House and play Pokemon, or we're going to go to Corbin and play Pokemon. Whereas with Digimon, I do think it's a lot more complex for her.
Right.
And um, so I think Digimon is, your 20-ish to 30 something year old. So we're all older.
Hmm.
And I think life really puts a damper because, it's hard to find time to go play. Whereas, like I said, with
Yeah, for
Pokemon,
sure.
there's a common thing. Like, when I'm talking to my wife, hey, me and Josie's gonna go
Hmm.
play. It gives her kind of a break, but we get to do something. So with Digimon, it's a lot different. It's usually just me going. So I
Right.
feel like
Yeah,
that
because I do
that
see
hurts a
that
lot
for
of us.
sure. Yeah, because like you're absolutely right. Like usually the Digimon players are a bit older, and like it's like here in Bristol, there is a shop who they do have like Pokemon, but like they only do Pokemon. And yeah, like there it's there are some adults, but usually it's their adults taking their kids with them or like teaching kids helping them get into the game, things like that.
Which Magic is an older player base too. It's just I think Magic has had the test of time, and
Hmm.
it's so massive. Like at this stage, at any given point, you can pretty much play any deck. Like I said, I think it's been around for 30 years, so well,
Yeah, it's
20-ish.
crazy how much like because I can look at like Magic cards now, and it's crazy to me how much they've changed, but also how much they've stayed the same since when I played before. Um, because a lot of the same cards get reprinted, like they're just staples, so they come out like every core set even now. Um,
Oh, yeah, for sure. Or you can
so
explain a card like this card is like this. Like,
yeah, yeah. Then sometimes there'll be like a new ability, and I just have to like look up that keyword because I'm like, what does that mean? You know? And then I'll be like, oh,
every
it's
set.
flying, but not. Gotcha.
Well, yeah, that happens a lot. Bandai seems to do that across their card games, but um because Dragon Ball Super had not the same keywords, but it was kind of the same effect as,
Mm-hmm.
just like Blitz or Rush in Digimon. There's
Mm-hmm.
usually an equivalent in most of the card games for that. So
Yeah, that helped me when learning Digimon, like knowing what I knew from Magic, because there are some effects that are like essentially one for one. Like Rush is haste for
Yep.
the two games, and like Trample and Piercing, those are the same effects as well. So like it's just, and it's funny too because Trample is primarily a green effect in Magic, while Piercing is primarily a green effect in Digimon. So it's just neat how it's like it was very similar going between the two.
Yeah, I
same
feel
way
like
with Black and Purple.
Mhm.
transitioning from Magic to Digimon probably the easiest out of all the card games.
I
Yeah, I had
totally
to
agree
teach
with
myself
that.
to stop saying tap because I'd be like, I'll tap this. I mean, suspend. And then the security mechanic, I think that was pretty much the same mechanic as like Duel Masters. I didn't mention it before, but I briefly tried to play Duel Masters. I just couldn't find anyone else to play with me for the most part when I was a kid.
I picked up a deck or two whenever they revamped it and it released, but then it died in the water again.
Yeah, it's like anytime I could find like a new card game as a kid, I would buy like the a booster pack or the starter deck or whatever, and then just have it because I'd be like, oh, I don't have anyone to play with, right?
That's still me now. I buy way too many card games. Like MetaZoo was one of my biggest adventures in the card games here recently that sadly is no longer. So yeah.
Yeah, there was like a pretty decent sized MetaZoo crowd here for a minute. Like everyone was really excited for it, and now I don't think that it exists here. Does it exist at all?
It doesn't exist at all. Sadly, they made the announcement
Jeez,
last week that it was going
that's
under.
so sad. Yeah, because I know there were people here that were like really into it.
I'm glad I sold my Mothman promo when I did.
Oh yeah, because it's nothing now. Well, they're still collect. Luckily for your big name cryptids, people might still buy them just for collector's sake, just for stuff.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, sadly, until the card game gets bought, it's dead. It's deader than Battle Spirits.
I had forgotten about Battle Spirits.
boy, boy, yeah, it didn't last very long here. It was over
Yeah, that was
before it started.
another. Yeah, that was another venture at my locals. Like, had like an overlap of Digimon and Battle Spirits players, and then I guess maybe whenever I took my little break, I don't know what happened. I just came back and again totally forgot about Battle Spirits. I guess now that you mention it, I do realize there is no Battle Spirits at locals. No one's it's not on the board or anything.
Oh yeah, you can buy a case of Battle Spirits for the price that people were paying boxes for when it first came out.
Yeah.
Jeez. I know Lorcana has a pretty big following here, like pretty decent player base.
Oh, it Corbin. It doesn't seem to, but here in Knoxville, there are a lot of stores. Like a newer store that just opened up. They are mainly a Lorcana store, which was pretty shocking. But that's their main game.
Interesting.
That's what I said. I was like, huh,
Well,
weird, but
Mana House
it
has
works.
pretty much dropped it off. They said they only get one or two people that come to try to play, so they put one piece in its slot.
Which is good for us.
Yep, time to start a Digimon community here.
Yeah, that's good. It sucks. I did like Lorcana, but you know,
I've never played. I was gonna buy some of the cards when it came out, and there were none, so could not find them anywhere because I didn't pre-order anything.
that was pretty much all of us. I think I never got to buy a booster box. I just bought their equivalent of like a Pokemon ETB and
Hmm.
just a couple
Yeah,
packs.
yeah. I bought a couple packs when I finally did see some at Walmart, and it was like when I saw them, I was like, well, now I have to buy it. Like, this doesn't
It's
exist. This
here.
isn't even real. Yeah, which my daughter did like opening that because Disney characters.
Oh yeah, my daughter, we had to build a Stitch a Rockstar Stitch deck, and she was all about it. I still have it. It's still good, but nobody really. I have to drive a little ways to play, so.
Right.
Which I don't think it's dead, but I mean, I feel like that was kind of Disney's thing was TCG's blowing up. They jumped on and hoping that parents and kids would play. You know, it's a game that's simple enough that you can teach it to a kid, and it's complex enough that adults can have fun playing it. So I think that's what they were really hoping for. Just
I found
product
like a good
scarcity
middle
killed it.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was odd to me that they went. Was it Ravensburger that they went with, like the board game company?
Yeah.
Super strange.
Well, I mean, I've seen Villainous all over, and I think that was kind of maybe a cash grab for them as well, because
Yeah, they
locally
would
here,
put that in the place where, like, at least
yes,
here, like, they would be in the place of where Lorcana should be. Like, just buy this.
yes, that's what I was about to, that's exactly what I was about to say. That's what they did. So now at the card section, you see like 2 or 3 sets of Villainous instead of Lorcana cards.
Which, like, in some cases, for some people, that might even be better because it's a contained game. You know, like, you can just buy the game and play it versus, you know, having to play, like, a TCG. Because I feel like a lot of people who are into it, who are not TCG people, maybe don't realize that this is more than just, you know, buying a board game or something. Like, you have to, you know, deck build and all that good stuff.
Oh, that was another huge thing. A lot of people that had not played a TCG in their life was coming to Lorcana, and I felt like sometimes the community would be rather toxic because you had players from other card games that a simple question to us looks stupid, but you know, this person has never touched a card game. There was a lot of those. So the interactions I felt like were kind of toxic.
Yeah, I remember in a Facebook group there was someone who, like, they posted a picture of like a blister pack, you know, like one of the hangers that you would get at Walmart or Target or wherever of Lorcana, and they were just like, "What is this?" You know, you know, they didn't understand. You know, that's just a booster pack. It's just, you know, in a piece of cardboard. And everyone, I don't remember specifically what the people said, but everyone was just so mean to this person who had just like a genuine question. They did not know what it was.
Yep, that's how I felt like the whole community on Facebook was probably in the same Facebook group. And like,
probably just like seeing the same thing, like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh God, this is terrible, but I'm definitely not helping them because I don't feel like getting roasted either.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I ended up leaving all the Lorcana groups I was in for like similar reasons. I was like, this just isn't. It's not worth it. Yeah, I don't feel better after seeing any post that's posted here.
Same. Did not feel welcoming at all.
For the Disney card game.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it too for a Disney card game. It felt very unfamily, unfriendly. No smiles here. Oh, a question that I have been wanting to ask. So you drew Cardboard's Tyrannomon playmat.
Yeah.
Now, the material it's on, and I've never seen material like that, but I literally just want to lay my face on it. It's that weird, almost like
it's like
fluffy. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, it's like a velvet type material.
Has that always been a thing, or like, and I've just never seen it, or is that something kind of newer to the playmat world?
So I wasn't familiar with it either. The distributor that I use for playmats randomly emailed me one day and was like, "Hey, we have a new item that we offer. Would you like a sample?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they asked me what I wanted printed on it, and I had one of my G-Arc playmats printed on it, and they sent it to me, and I was just like, "What is this? How did you do this?" Because I like cloth playmats, but I don't like that they can scoot around.
Yeah.
Which is the main reason why I don't use them. But yeah, it's like super, super soft. It's like comparable to MetaMats. I don't know if you guys have ever used any of their cloth mats, but like they have really high quality mats. So it's like kind of that feel, but with the rubber backing and the stitch on it. So I assume they just do the same process. It's just with that cloth on the face instead of the I can't think of the neoprene, the
Yes.
mouse
Yeah.
pad material. But yeah, like that's now my favorite. That's what I tend to use, and I don't try to push anything on people, but I do like to let people know like this exists because I didn't know it existed. So like
Listen,
neat thing to check out.
the description that I gave on that your post, the machine drum on mats,
Mm-hmm.
and that was I feel like that's perfect. It's 100,000 thread count bed to lay your cards on.
Pretty much, yeah. It's super, super soft. And like when people online ask about it, it's like this is really hard to explain. So like again, I made that video that I put on TikTok and I just like link that. Like here's me doing my best to show you without you being able to touch it.
There you go, guys. Buy one, and just so because it is neat. It's like the best of both worlds. It like anytime I'm around Drew's playmat, it's almost like a creepy thing because I just want to reach over and just rub my fingers across it because I don't know, it's a sensory sensation. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's amazing.
It's that meme.
Yeah.
I pet that dog. Can I pet your mat?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely different, especially if people don't expect it to be that texture, and then they touch the cloth mat and they're like, "Oh, what is that?"
As soon as he dropped it at locals, I was like, what is this?
Yeah, that was me whenever I got the mat out of the mail because like they didn't even explain what it was they were sending me. They said we have a new product. Would you like to sample it?
Why, heck yes, I would.
Free things, sure.
No,
So
that's
can you do that on any mat?
Yeah,
Like
any of the mats are available with that.
that's an even bigger win. I'm going to order I'm going to order my first one again with that.
Yeah, just redo it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all those, they have the black stitch. I assume because whatever the fabric is needs to like be contained with it, so the stitch, I assume, has a factor in that. I don't know for sure because again, they're not available in anything other than with the black stitch on it as well. But
Yeah, but black goes with everything. Black just
true.
I really wish people that don't know about your artwork, they need to go follow you on TikTok or look at some of the playmats because I think one of the biggest ones for me, not only your art style, but was the Black War Greymon X Antibody playmat where he's fighting Metal Gar. That
Yeah.
one is just it's really good. And if you love that style, your Morphmon playmat, I just like I said, there's a lot of different styles, guys, that he has. So
Thank you.
definitely go
Yeah, I
look
try
at his
to
playmat.
do different. Yeah, I try to like not limit myself too much. Like the machine drum on mats, like I had two machine drum on mats that I just did, and I did them in different like different art styles rather. Like the one was kind of loosely done, and then the other one is like my more typical style of like illustrating everything meticulously. So
Well, I mean, you've even got kind of the meme playmats, like the Pulsemon Sonic playmat, the
yeah,
Vmon Armor playmat. Like this is like, I mean,
I've always intended to do another version of the Vmon one where he doesn't look like Elmo from that meme, but I haven't.
but that's what makes it
Um,
great is that he
Yeah.
looks like Elmo from that meme. That's what makes it great.
just holding the digi eggs and screaming. Um,
Listen, that Terriermon playmat is just
Yeah, it's another solid one.
Yeah, I had people request that I do the Terrormon mat again, but do it for Guilmon and Renamon, which I would like to do. I just haven't had time to sit down and draw them that way. Um, but something I've considered. One thing that I kind of want to do is uh maybe next month is have like some mats, or at least just do the art, like kind of redraw some of my favorite panels from the Digimon Tamers manga, because not a lot of people are familiar with the manga, and I really really like it. So I thought about like just taking some of my favorite panels and like redrawing them in my own art style, and maybe doing those as mats or prints or something.
Now there's one that you did the stained glass Sakuyamon. I love that one.
Yeah, yeah, that one's not in my shop yet, but it will be. That's probably the next one that's going to be up. So next week or so, I'll probably have the Sakuyamon in there. That was the first thing I'd ever done, like in a stained glass style as well, which was a learning experience.
I love it. It's great.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for you to go get your tattoo apprenticeship. So
There was a point where that was the plan, but
Oh, I'm done
there's
ready
actually
to get going on that Guillemon sleeve. Like I've done got a Digimon sleeve started, and I'm ready to add. I'm not. Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
yeah, there was a shop in like the New River Valley, so like Christiansburg, Blacksburg, Radford, that area, because I used to live there, and they offered me an apprenticeship as I was moving away from the area, so that kind of sucked. Just the timing was bad.
Dang it, guys.
I'd say you find a shop locally and just walk in with your portfolio, and they'll be like, "Okay, come on."
I don't know. There are like, I guess from where I'm sitting right now in my apartment, there's probably like 3 or 4 tattoo shops within 5 minutes.
I know a couple people if you want to move over this way. Like,
Oh, I'll be a guinea pig for sure. You can practice. I got a lot of. I've only got like 3 tattoos, so there's a lot of open canvas. So
uh,
you can use me.
yeah. So like I've tattooed someone once against my own will. It was one of my old bandmates. He found out that it was when I first joined the band that I was in. He found out that I could draw, and for my birthday, he bought me like the cheapest tattoo machine that Amazon can offer. Um, and demanded that I tattoo him, and I was like, I don't think we should do this. This is a bad idea, and it was a bad idea.
All right, now we need to see a picture of this.
I'd have to message him like, "Hey, Mike, show me your leg," because it
We
was
need to
like
see this.
Squall from Final Fantasy's like emblem. But again, I knew not what I was doing. He had purchased the kit and the instructional DVD to go along with it, and that was all that's all I had. And I apologized to him more times than I could count as we were going. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
all right, well, Mikey, you got anything else?
Uh, besides go, you do have a website, and you want to go ahead and plug your socials?
Sure. It's wholehearted, HOLEHRTD, on everything. So TikTok, um, Twitter or X, whatever people call it these days. Facebook is wholehearted, capital H with a period at the end, and then my website is just wholehearted.com.
Yeah, I'll link all of that in the description. So,
Sweet.
and then anybody that's ordering a playmat from Wholehearted can use SecCheck10 to get 10% off.
Yay.
Yeah, so thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on here.
One of our coolest members of our group. I don't have any favorite, but definitely a good member to have in your community.
Absolutely. He did our Cataclysmic Gamers. He doesn't know it, but he's going to be doing our podcast logo soon.
Yeah. Hey, by the way,
Time for a bit of a rebrand.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to do it. Anything that you guys ever have that you need help with, I'll do everything I can to help you.
You may have to get a playmat for tournament circuit exclusive.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Love it.
All
That's
right.
all I got.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, guys. Go check out Wholehearted. All of his links will be in the description. Go get a premium playmat. You'll never regret it. And that's it.